to Bay Area Psychology, where we have a focus on mental health issues which affect all of us. Sunday, November 13th, 1994, the Mercury News took a thorough look at the debt trap, which happens when short-term fixes turn into long-term problems. In fact, personal debt and national debt has risen to epidemic proportions. Bankruptcy, which used to be viewed as a last resort solution with shame attached to it, is now considered simply one option. Many of us live beyond our means, are creatively finding new sources of credit when our money runs out, neglect to establish emergency funds, and most of all, feel a chronic sense of vagueness and even hopelessness about our finances. We ask ourselves, where did our paycheck go? Here's one possibility.
270, it's got 65 steam vents and an extra large sole plate, and it's got the automatic shutoff too. It is only $39.95 for the value today here at Home Shopping Club. Only $39.95 for the Singer vertical steam iron with the 65 steam vents in all as well. Now I'm going to go over there and I'm going to show that to you if I can for a minute, Dawn. I want to just illustrate to everybody that we don't have that many of these left, folks. If I were you, I would be on the line for this one too.
All the fun things is this great value in this fabulous hair dryer. Well, let's talk about hair and hair drying and how you know a good hair dryer from a bad hair dryer in your experience.
First of all, Conair is the company for the professionals.
Right.
All of us that do photo shoots, film, TV, we use the Conair products.
We don't even have to leave our house to spend our money. Tonight we're asking the question, why is it so hard to manage our money? And to answer this question and shed some light on compulsivity about money is Marilyn Thane, an Executive Director of Consumer Credit. Welcome.
Thank you.
And Darcy Reagan, owner of Cash Flow Management. I want to welcome you also this evening. Well, I'd like to ask you both for some insight into why this seems to be so difficult for people. Why do you think people have such a hard time managing their money?
Well, I think that first of all, with credit, it makes it really difficult. When it used to be just money, if you had it in your pocket, you could spend it.
Okay.
If it wasn't there, you couldn't spend it.
Okay.
But with credit, it takes a lot more planning, and it takes maybe writing things down. And with, so much credit available, buying is just become very appealing.
It certainly has. Certainly we're encouraged not to let a little thing like cash stop us from having what we want. And in fact, on the way here on the radio, I heard an advertisement for, buy this home now and we'll make your first 3 payments for you. Do you see that with your clients as well, Darcy, kind of this being lured by sales approaches?
Oh, absolutely. A lot of the defense mechanism isn't there. And so people have not been taught how to handle their money. They're just kind of going along with what the media is telling them is the most popular thing to do.
Okay. So sort of, if I want what I want it now, and we don't do delayed gratification.
Not anymore.
That's kind of what I'm hearing. It's not necessary.
I think that people very much feel that it's available. Credit makes it possible. And, so I don't know what tomorrow is going to bring.
Right.
I don't know if I'm even going to have a job tomorrow in some instances. So I might as well enjoy things today.
Okay.
I mean, there is not the stigma of debt that there used to be. I think that, maybe my parents thought that debt might have even been a sin.
Yes.
I'm not sure. But certainly it was not a good thing. Whereas today, we have turned it into a very positive thing. And in some respects it is. I mean, we are able to have things that we certainly could not have if it were not for credit. But the extent to which we use credit, I have heard a recent statistic that says that we spend $1.03 for every dollar we earn.
Ah.
And so, when it becomes an everyday occurrence and when our debt load gets so high that it brings stress into our lives, then it perhaps is not as positive a thing as it is when you spend to a level that is more within your income.
Absolutely, and I think maybe you're alluding to the finance charges, which I know many of us don't have a clue about. We don't even read the part on the bill where it says 19%, and so those of us who pay our minimum payments, it could take us years and years to attack this problem. We have some guidelines, some possible indicators of compulsive spending provided to us by Gerald Mundis in his book. I don't know if you're familiar with it, How to Get Out of Debt, Stay Out of Debt, and Live Prosperously. Okay, he talks about the fact that he is a recovering compulsive spender himself, and he gives us a lot of guidelines and pointers in terms of how to get out from under this problem. And I'm hoping we can go through them, and you can give me some comments as we go along. So let's take a look at our first graphic. Let's see, this month's bills start coming in before you cleared last month's. You avoid opening letters for fear of new bills or trouble with a creditor, or you rarely keep a running balance in your checkbook. Ladies, do you have any comments about any of those?
Well, I think that a lot of people operate under those principles. Sometimes not knowing how bad it is may be more comfortable than really putting it down on paper and knowing, you know, where you really stand.
Okay.
And so sometimes that keeps people kind of paralyzed. They can't stop spending because they don't know how bad it is, or I should say they don't because they don't know how bad it is, or they may continue to spend because they think it's bad, and so why not do it anyway?
That's what we might as well. Or, you know, kind of staying, you know, the not keeping a balance in the checkbook. You know, maybe keeping myself in a sense of vagueness so that I may not have to think about it at all, you know. And I imagine there's a sense of tension you've experienced, Darcy, in working with people where people begin to live at a chronic level of anxiety because this month's bills are coming in, I haven't paid last month, and you begin to get in a cycle of juggling. Have you seen that with people?
Absolutely. Many times they think they're not worried about money, but their life is consumed by the worry about money.
Okay, so even though maybe they're paying those bills under the wire, you see it as a problem for people to at least always be thinking about it.
Absolutely. It takes up a lot of energy out of one's life.
Okay.
I think that we've probably seen a lot of clients that have even gone to the extent of taking cash advances to be able to pay the bills, which, you know, just really pyramids your debt.
Absolutely.
And it really solves nothing except it helps you through that particular month.
And it seems so, you know, easy. I mean, I know
It is easy.
I have had that kind of been seduced by the fact that you can take this little plastic card and you can get cash for that. I mean, and there is not a real sense of it actually being money, or I'm going to have to pay it back.
Right.
I mean, at least if you write a check, you do a physical act of writing something, you know, and but with a credit card, there's no immediate consequence at all.
This is true, and there's been psychological studies that have been done that prove that when people have credit cards, they will spend more money than it is if it is actually cash.
Okay.
You feel richer.
You feel richer.
like you have a
Well,
lot
it's not
more
like money.
That's right, it is. Put it
like-
on the card.
It's like playing Monopoly.
Yeah, monopoly money, okay.
And you talk about consequences, you can stay in denial when there are no negative consequences to pay.
You bet.
It's one of those, don't think about it if I don't have to pay for it today.
That's right. In fact, that leads us to the next few signs. Let's take a look at the next few signs of compulsive spending. You charge most of your purchases. We've been talking about that. The total amount you have charged has risen steadily. The balance never gets paid off. You're using your credit card or the overdraft privilege on your checking account to pay bills. Marilyn, you just mentioned that a few minutes ago, where people get in a cycle of maybe paying their Visa with their MasterCard,
Right.
that sort of thing.
Which, as I said, just really compounds the problem, and you can continue to do that to a certain extent. And then there probably comes a day when you can no longer even make the minimum payments, which is hopefully when people will seek services like ours or therapy or whatever to help them from this continuing spire of spending more than they have.
And, well, or I know that I certainly receive any number of unsolicited opportunities for credit cards.
And you're probably going to get even more of those because some of the statistics, again, that I have heard say that last year 1 billion credit card solicitations went out.
1 billion?
1 billion. So, you know, that's a fair number.
It certainly is. Well, and people, you know, it seems so, again, it's so easy. If I don't have to apply, if I'm pre-approved, you know, all I have to do is send this out. And I know that one of the marketing tools that's being used is to advertise, well, for the first 3 or 4 months, you get like 6% interest. And so people sign up with the intention maybe of paying it off within that low interest rate time period. But, you know, Darcy, how successful are people when they attempt to do that?
Well, when I talk to clients, it's usually not about the interest.
Okay.
It's the interest is not the behavior that's causing the problem. And so many times people are caught up in the interest. Well, this card has less interest and this card has more interest, et cetera, et cetera. And, you know, it's my job to get them focused on their behavior because the credit card companies aren't forcing them to purchase.
That's right. That's true. We do ultimately have to take responsibility for
Right.
what's happening with our money.
And I would have to say that the clients that we see also, in most cases, are not real aware of what the credit card rate is. You know, the interest rate does not really seem to matter. I think the most important factor is maybe what is the minimum payment that I should be making every month. And if I can afford that, then I will probably subscribe to that card.
That is an excellent point. That is-
Not to say that every consumer is that way, because I think there are a number of consumers out there that do carefully shop and that do know what interest rates are. And you know, you said that credit card companies will advertise 6% or whatever. I think you said a certain percent for 6 months.
Right.
And that's hopeful that they will do that, that you will know that it changes. You know,
by the time
in
6 months rolls around, I know many of us have long forgotten that it was a temporary state of affairs.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So so a behavior you might wind up addressing is people having to put away their credit cards, say, you know.
Well, we cut them up.
Okay.
It's definitely recommended. They don't all do it,
Okay.
but
That
it's
must be very
recommended.
hard for people.
It is very hard.
Yeah. I would
We
imagine-
have a lot of tiers.
Yeah.
We have a few people who decide that that is not a remedy that they can abide. And I don't know what they end up doing, but when it comes to saying what you really need to do is to cut up the cards, they can't do it.
Well, those cards can become pretty powerful symbols.
Yes.
Yeah, what kind of symbols have you seen it become?
Friends,
It's become their friend?
power,
Power?
security,
Ooh, okay.
self-esteem. I'll buy this one. This one's on me.
This one's on me, absolutely. Well, I know for myself, it's always one of the lines, I don't know, I guess it is a line I've told myself for years, is that, well, I need to have credit cards because what if I get in trouble with my car in an emergency and I have to go into the gas station? Well, when we return, we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on with their money, and we'll hear from a few people who have definite opinions about this topic. Stay with us.
It probably depends on how you grew up with money. I find it really hard to manage money because I really have no concept of savings or responsibility as far as what I need to pay for because I was brought up probably very, what's the word, not spoiled. Well, maybe a little spoiled. And so I really have no concept of how much I might need to save for future endeavors. So it's like always money is money now, and I'm going to use it now, and regardless of what's going to happen, because that's just the way I was brought up. But I think money is such a huge focus that it's always, how much money do I have now? How much is something I want cost? End of story. And no one really has any idea of the long-term things.
Thank you very much.
We're, I don't know, bombarded with pictures of things, instant gratification, home shopping networks. I've never bought anything on a home shopping network, and I managed to pay all of my credit cards off last year. But before that, it was any